Hi, I'm Liz Trotter, and I'm with Cleaning Business Builders. Today, I am interviewing Ellen Folks, and she's with Guarantee Girls. And she has gone through a couple of flooding events and has some advice. We just want to talk a little bit about different ways that the business owners that have been affected by Hurricane Harvey can potentially begin to recuperate some of the loss and how to help in the areas that they're in right now. So, Ellen, I know that last year you dealt with some flooding. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened last year?
Last year in August, Baton Rouge had a freak rainstorm, and we got 30 inches of rain in 2 days. Areas flooded that have never flooded before. They rescued people from their homes by boat. They set up evacuation shelters, just like they're doing now in Houston. But I think the latest 51 inches of rains, and Houston is more densely populated and has a larger population than Baton Rouge. Depending upon what part of Houston they're in, did their area flood, they would need to get on the phone and call their employees. If their employees' houses flooded, then they're not going to be available to come to work. They would need to see what sort of labor they have available to even provide any work for people in Houston. Then they could start calling their customers to see if they flooded, what their needs are, what they could help them with, and think outside of the box as to what they can do for them. One of the maid services in Houston is going to talk to Chunky this afternoon, and I had suggested that they just do tear out for these people. Everybody that had water in their home is going to need tear out. There's no training to tear out. You're just providing labor for these people. You have to tear out everything wet. They'll have to take carpet out, the pad out. They'll have to take all their furniture out. And then you cut the sheetrock out 3 feet above where the water line was.
Other than cutting out the sheetrock, the other stuff is just don't need any knowledge, any experience at all. It's just simply manual labor.
Exactly. That's what you're providing to these people. And with as many restoration companies there are in this country, they'll all be there, but there's never enough people or labor to go around. What we found last year, I think we had probably over 1,200 calls of people with water in their home and business. And there was no way that we could get to even a third of them. So people are tired of waiting, and they just begin to do it themselves. So it's just a manual labor type of thing that you're providing labor for these people through tear out. Then the house has to completely dry. Then after the house is dry, then they call a restoration company or a contractor.
So you're thinking that the best first move is just start calling all of their current clients and find out how they could be of service. They know they don't need cleaning, or maybe they even do. You never know. But how can they help?
Nothing can be done until the water recedes. They can't do anything until they can get into the neighborhoods to provide a service. And from the pictures on TV, it looks like all of these areas are still flooded, that water's still in homes, that people have been evacuated. In New Orleans, it took 3 weeks for the water to go down before anybody could go in and start working. But New Orleans is like a bowl, so the water didn't have any place to run off to. There's rivers that are rising. There's dams that might possibly break. So there's a lot of circumstances that people don't know when they're going to be able to get back into their home.
Yeah, I was talking to Diana Henley of Natural Care, and she was saying that even though the rain is stopping, the water is rising.
Exactly.
So it takes quite a while for everything to begin to level out. Do you have any suggestions of things that they could do now? They have, these people have employees that have lost their homes as well. Yeah. And they're just sort of at a loss. I know we have a lot of business owners that just feel like they don't even know where to begin. Should they try to help their employees? Should they try to call their customers? Should they be contacting, some type of relief places? What are the actions that they need to take?
Well, first they need to take care of their own home and their own, their own stuff.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I mean, some of the owners might have flooded themselves. I would, check with my work first, because if you're going to have business, you have workers. So find who flooded, didn't, what they're doing, when they'll be available to work. They might not ever be able to come back. They might, have to quit for 3 months, to take care of their own house and to get their own lives back in order. So then when they know about, their family or their workers, then they'll know what they can provide to other people. But without workers, then they can't provide anything. Places aren't going to have power either. So, you don't have to have power to tear out. But, you do have to have the water to have receded.
Right. So the main thing is it's kind of a waiting game for the water to go out.
Exactly.
But then you got to get in there right away and get started pulling things out. Sooner the better. You don't want stuff sitting around either. The longer it sits, the further up it goes on the walls.
And you get mold. Mold is from water, and most of these places probably won't have electricity, so they won't have air, and they won't have air movement. So breeding ground for mold is damp, moist plants, and there'll be lots afterwards too. So that's why tearing everything out is to try and prevent the mold from occurring in these houses.
So the sooner the better, getting in there, tearing this stuff out. Is there any kind of special equipment they might need? I mean, outside of like big gloves and boots, maybe?
Garbage bags. Then with the sheetrock, they'll need, what are those knives called, that you cut the sheetrock, and then maybe a crowbar, pull it out, but a lot of people that couldn't get help, they just went to Home Depot and just got laborers to come out to their house and tear it out. A lot of places you have to tear out your cabinets, because your cabinets are made out of wood, and the water absorbs into the wood, and the wood will swell. By having a refrigeration company, what we have is fans, which are air movers, which help to circulate the air, and dehumidifiers, which pull the moisture out of the air and out of the porous substances. But if no electricity, then you can't plug in your equipment. So as long as you can tear it out and it can be open, that it has a better chance of drying. And the sooner it dries, the less damage you'll have. People's immediate need is shelter and food, so people that can't live in their house, they're living somewhere else. There's no house cleaning that will be done at some point, whether it's now or whether it's later, they might want it disinfected, because the water that's flowed through their house is sewage water. It's dirty, filthy water. That's also why everything has to come out. All of their personal effects, are wet. Your furniture's wood, so the wood will swell. Your clothes can be washed. They can wash clothes for people if they could. But most of these people, especially if they have insurance, are just going to bag it up and throw it away. But they have to have inventory. They could go into people's homes and do inventory for them, because to claim it on your insurance, you'd have to have an inventory of what was lost.
You might think, I need to have everything torn out, and then realize, I should have taken an inventory. So it's helpful to recognize that you need to have an inventory. And can that just be pictures? Is that good enough?
They could do a video inventory for these people, go through their house and video stuff before they start pulling it out.
Okay. I feel like that's great information too.
The first thing the person that lives in the house, they'll, if they have flood insurance, is they're going to call their insurance agent. Then it could be days or weeks. Who knows how long it will be before an insurance adjuster comes out there. So the best thing for these people to do is to have pictures to justify that they had the stuff that's being thrown away.
So for a cleaning company that is trying to dig their way out quickly, taking out the drywall, is that part of the tear out?
Yes, there's so many people, they're just wanting to do something that they can work and make money.
Right. So these are the things I have on the list. I only have 4 things. They can do the video inventory, they could take pictures, they could wash laundry, and they could do the tear out.
Yes. Now, what I would also suggest is calling their employees first, because they can't do any of this unless they have employees. And then they need to know what kind of staff they have, whether they have 2 people or if they have 20 people that are available to work.
Right. And they're probably going to need to look for more staff, period.
Right. And good luck.
But there should be people looking for work too, because there will be people without work.
Exactly.
I think it would be easier to find people to help with this kind of work, because people do want to help.
Yes.
People want to get in there and help other people. It feels so awful to see it all happening, but if you can get in and help, it feels a little bit better.
But they're a company, they can't forget they need to charge these people. Otherwise, they won't be in business any longer. Some people might want them to come in at some point in time and use, like we said, a disinfectant to wipe stuff down. But as wet as most of these houses are, it's all got to be torn out. There'll be very little saving to be done. And what they do is they just tear it out and haul it to the street. So it's just, somebody with a strong back. I mean, we have lots of women, not lots, but we have women that work in our restoration business too. So women can do this kind of work. And house cleaning is hard physical labor.
Yeah,
so it's a different type of labor that you're providing for people.
Yeah. I think it is a good point that you brought up, Ellen, that we don't want people to forget that these are businesses that have to stay in business so that they can continue to offer employment to people that need employment. So we don't want the businesses to fold. And so part of that is you have to be able to charge, you have to be able to pay people to be able to do this, to continue the cycle of employment. It's great to be able to help, but you have to think of helping in a different way than you might have during the crisis. During the crisis, it was all hands on deck. Everybody just get out there and, rescue people and pull them in. But as things begin to normalize, they are going to have to get back to business again. Not business as usual, but get back to business. But it's still helping.
In other words, they need to be paid upon completion. They don't want to bill any of these people. They don't want to bill the insurance companies. They need to figure out what price they're going to charge. If they want to call me or Chunky, we can help them figure out a price to charge for this. But they need to, I'd even say, be paid up front. Or these people, can pay. Most of these companies probably take credit cards. I would be paid with a credit card because you don't know if these people's, checks are good.
Right.
Will be a lot of people that, rip people off, meaning that they'll charge and say, I'll come back tomorrow and do the work, and then they pay them and they never show back up again. But, here we're ready to work. It's going to be $500. How are you going to pay me? Fewer jobs, but the jobs are going to be bigger. They're going to be 500, 1,000, 3,000.
Well, also you pointed out something really good, Ellen. The bad people also come out of the woodwork. So being a reputable company with your uniforms and your reputation, that is part of what people are going to be paying for. And I wanted to make sure that I hit strongly on the point. I talked to 2 business owners now that said, I just don't think I can charge any of these people because they're so devastated. And I really want to go back to what you said, Ellen, is that is how they're helping, is by being a reputable company that can charge and keep the flow of work going so that the economy can begin to stabilize and so that things can begin to normalize. It's just going in and doing work for free is not the big fix that we need. We need our companies to rebound and to begin hiring, etc.
They have to charge because they have to survive too. If they go in and provide all this for free, then they're going to be out of business.
Yeah, and then the economy sinks. It doesn't get better. So charging is actually one way of helping the economy, not hurting the economy. It's kind of an odd way to look at it. If you're, I'm sure if you're in the middle of it and feel like you just want to help, I just want to encourage everybody to remember that it is helping by being a reputable company.
Well, they're going to be able to do fewer jobs too. They're not going to be able to clean 50 houses in a day. They'll maybe, depending upon their labor or their staff, they'll do 1 to 5 a day or something like that. So they're charging more money, but they're doing fewer jobs.
So I think it's really awesome of you to accept people's calls, Ellen, you and Chunky, and help them out, figure out how to charge, how to do some of this work, some of the different equipment and supplies they might need. It's super, super helpful. Any last bit of advice you can think of?
They have to take care of themselves, their business. They have to survive. And they have to think out of the box. Call your customers. Listen to your customers. See what they need when you talk to them. I mean, you and I just sitting here today came up with 4 or 5 things just brainstorming. So customers might have different needs. I don't know. In other words, just listen to what your customers say that they need. But I would phone and call your regular customers, find out if they flooded, and then let them know ahead of time. I mean, in other words, the business owner will have to know what services they're willing to provide. And then talking to them, we have people, staff that can get out there tomorrow or as soon as your water recedes and start tearing out, the wet stuff in your home. They might say, I'm not going to do anything till my insurance adjuster gets out here. They might say, I don't know where to begin. The first place the home needs to begin is call their insurance agent. Do they have to have flood insurance? Your homeowner's insurance won't cover it. And if you rent, your renter's insurance won't cover it. You have to have renter's flood. So it's a little bit different. We've learned the hard way that we always ask first, do people have insurance? Because those are the ones they know that they can pay, or they'll pay and they'll be reimbursed from their insurance company.
All right, so what I'm hearing as a recap here is, 1, call your employees. Find out their situation, who's going to be working, who isn't, what is the situation. Sort of get a handle on your workforce. What is the labor that you're going to have available? 2, call all your clients and find out their situation. The people that haven't been flooded, they might still need regular cleaning. You just don't even know yet until you call them. The people that have been flooded, you don't know exactly what they need either. So ask, find out what their needs are. Do some brainstorming with your clients. How can you help? How can you be of service? They're going to trust you as the company they're used to dealing with, and you have a little bit of a leg up to be able to help in a better way. So brainstorm with them. After those people, it's probably sort of a free-for-all, finding out who you should help and how, if you have more workforce from there. It sounds like there's the big problem is going to be a shortage of labor, not a shortage of work, though. So it sounds like after you contact all of your clients, then go back and begin looking for more labor. Where can you find more labor?
If they have relationships with subcontractors that they use, like painters or sheetrockers or, landscape people that they provide other services, call your subcontractors, see what they're doing, if they're working. Lots of people, landscapers, got into the tear out business because,
use manual labor. They're used to working outside. Yeah, that's great. Maybe hooking up with some of those people too. Combining forces would make good sense. Okay, so sounds like they just got a lot of work ahead of them. A lot of brain work too, trying to figure things out and deciding how best to move forward. And being flexible sounds like it's going to be really, really important as the next couple of months come around. Being willing to take on different jobs and different opportunities as they come around.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, Ellen. I know you're there doing Grammy duty, so I appreciate you really taking some time out for us. And If there's anything else you can think of, let us know.